We ended up basing our first model off of RPM, at which we wanted to help users connect with their child by finding out what their interests were. Was it music? Science? We wanted to find that out.
It's meant to be a teacher's aid.
We wanted to make this, almost explorative.
I really wanted to see that connection between the parent and their child. I feel like that we could help create something like that. During the first sprint, I started building the AR functionality. Using what we learned about the cutting-edge AR kit created by Apple, we decided to use a horizontal plane to add our 3D objects to.
Apple.
In Sprint 1, I was exploring the AV Foundations for the text-to-speech. AV Foundations is the featured framework for working with the time-based audiovisual media on Apple iOS.
I focused on gathering 3D models and fixing textures and sizing problems when they were imported into Xcode.
I looked into Core Data, which is a built-in structure with Apple.
First thing I started with was downloading open source 3D models, and then I implemented them into Xcode by converting them into scenes.
For week 2, I started focusing more on tap gestures in the user interface to allow for us to select and remove items.
I created a custom structure that would store the name, category, and 3D scene to be used. Then I populated an array of those objects and made them searchable.
I started working on the framework for the object database and made sure I had label consistency, so that when the object was selected, the proper label and the 3D object was displayed in testing.
Adding the core data at a later point in time was not very beneficial or easy to work with. And so then I decided to just stop working with that and then switch gears onto another platform.
I started my preliminary text-to-speech prototype, which went rather smoothly, as the only error I encountered was, like most errors, a human error, as I had misspelled the word utterance in my function. How did I misspell it? 3 T's in utterance. Not my proudest moment.
It really felt like we had a great project concept. Granted, it wasn't as honed in on one exact idea as we wanted it to be.
The app was kind of vague of what we were going at because there was so much.
After the first week and into week 2, when we were actually able to meet with Professor Allardson, I felt like it pointed us into a really good direction for an app.
I found, downloaded, and resized and imported new objects related to a kitchen.
Having one category, food, kitchen, fruits, veggies, that sort of thing, definitely was a better way to go.
Teaching kids about household objects.
And give the child options to choose between, so that way we can better understand them in specific environments.
Being able to give the child a real apple in the house and show them a picture, a 3D model, and hear the words said out loud could help them understand that correlation.
We decided to use a long press tap gesture to select the objects on the screen. I also worked on getting the session timer set up so the user could allocate a set amount of time for their child.
After getting a fully working text-to-speech function, I was exploring with other ideas, like trying to incorporate Google Translate into the app so that Siri could translate into other languages using the text-to-speech function.
I was able to add code that allowed for the objects to be deleted off the screen, as well as for the new plane to be redetected when the camera was moved.
I worked on trying to get the knowledge of NS coding, which is another form of persistent data collection.
I implemented the function with Zach into the app, then shifted gears and started helping find 3D objects and textures for the project with Christine.
The objects that did not come with textures, I had to create them.
We started to actually implement the ability to load and save data structures into arrays.
Started creating a Firebase data collection in order for us to allow for saved profiles within the application itself.
I created another custom structure for saving each session. The session object contains the name, date, elapsed time, name of session, and objects selected or not selected.
We got the systems implemented into it. We haven't got them working because we're still running into errors and bugs with that.
The issue is we're passing in a nil variable for our save function.
I made a logo that represented the relation between AR objects and real-life objects. I made 2 types of logos, one for the app icon and one for the launch screen. I had to resize the images 12 times for the different ways it could be applied.
In this sprint, I helped finish the saving loading functions.
What I changed here to fix this saving issue is I used this function right here, should perform with segue.
That way you can pull up previous sessions that were made inside the app so you can look at the history of what was going on with the children.
I started working on the UI of the new session page, adding color, labels, and other small visual updates.
Pulling of data, modification of data, and re-uploaded data, I'm like,
I took this week to edit this video as our portfolio artifact.
I spent Sprint 6 working on debugging small issues and general UI adjusting.
Went through the code and basically just debugged it so that way there was no persistent errors.
I updated the splash screen UI to be more user-friendly, as the initial one we had no instruction on how to use the app.
So what I learned from working in a team is that everyone has, specific skills that they're really good at.
It's about working through those issues and having each other's back in a team.
And working with our friends was the best thing for this project and helped it.
I genuinely would love to see it introduced into children's therapy clinics.
Choose environments that are matching what you want to discuss.
I hope to see it helping children with autism spectrum disorder see the relation between pictures and objects
We want to create that connection between a parent and a child that they might not have had before.
and relate with their loved ones.